Ever since the flat Earth movement began to grow, many of the more difficult questions about our planet were presented with easier to grasp answers, which led millions to believe the Earth is flat, because the alternative is the more complex scientific model. With this in mind, I've decided to offer science-based explanations in simplified terms, in the hopes that they will provide a different perspective on what flat earthers and skeptics hold true. So we begin by answering the questions formulated in Odd TV's video. If you want more details about each treated topic, you'll find the full videos linked in the description.
Where does the sun go if the Earth is flat?
Well, the sun neither rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west, and only appears to rise and set due to perspective. The sun disappears at the vanishing point of human perspective on the horizon, where the ground meets the sky.
Perspective tells us that the 5,000-kilometer high sun would set if it were 17 million kilometers away from the flat Earth. So something like this, or, as viewed from above, like this. So it cannot just circle around above the surface of the flat Earth.
And since the sun is not 93 million miles away, I repeat, not 93 million miles away, but much closer and smaller, the light emanating from the sun only illuminates about half of the flat plane at once.
Okay, first of all, let's see how much closer the sun should be for us to see it rise and set due to perspective. The sun is roughly at half the radius of the disk, and the person here would see it set at this position. Plugging in the numbers, it turns out that the height would have to be 1.24 kilometers, so the sun would be underneath the planes. Something like this as viewed from the side. And when you say it only illuminates half of the disk, you imagine something like this, right? One explanation could be the atmospheric lensing effect, when the sun rays are bent downwards due to successive refractions through the air. I ran the simulations, and the index of refraction at ground level would need to be over 4, which is way larger than the measured index of refraction of air. Furthermore, if the sun rays are bent downwards, then the apparent position of the sun would be higher. So this works against sunrise and sunset on a flat Earth.
But many people suppose that whether the Earth is round or flat, that either way, it still must be floating in the middle of outer space. But the idea of outer space goes out the window with the round Earth theory. Many religious texts support an immovable Earth that has its foundations on which it is laid, and its pillars by which it is supported.
Just FYI, religious beliefs also concluded that cats embodied Lucifer. So on June 13, 1233, Pope Gregory IX issued the Vox in Rama decree, which led to the slaughtering of many cats. Several decades later, the Black Death came along, spreading through rats and mice. Now, how could one stop the rodents from spreading the disease? I know, cats. Too bad we've killed them all.
We simply don't know, but we do know that the Earth is obviously fixed in place, as we can tell by our everyday experience of non-movement.
Well, instead of Jenga, try using a gyroscope. You know, as the flat Earth leaders try and ended up proving the Earth is round and spinning.
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift. Now, obviously we were taken aback by that. Wow, that's kind of a problem.
This definitely deserves a point, but I believe that the flat Earth should get minus infinity just for debunking themselves. But yeah, let's be consistent.
What about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon?
This is also due to human perspective. They don't go over the horizon, they go into the horizon, moving beyond the limit of our vision and past the vanishing point.
If that were the case, then we would see the boat shrinking, something like this. But what we do see is ships gradually sinking as they go over the horizon, much like you show here. Now, does this look like the whole ship?
A great question to ask yourself is, why can't we see noticeable curvature?
Believe it or not, you can see the curvature here because of the fisheye lens. Since the horizon line is below the center of the lens, it is curved the other way around. See how at the edges the atmosphere appears to be higher than in the middle? And we can even see the curvature at ground level. This is a simulation of the horizon line as a function of height off the ground. And with this neat trick, you can see the curvature. There's even a video out there with James May witnessing the curvature from a high altitude flight.
Yes! Oh man, I've got that curvature of the horizon thing. Look at that, that's perfect. Yeah. This looks fantastic. Oh, it's lovely.
Why are all the other planets round then?
They are round because of gravity, but flat earthers won't believe that, so I won't bother.
What have become known as planets are round lights that seem to be set over the flat Earth.
So you show amateur pictures of the planets and then you just disregard them?
The so-called planets and stars are not what we have been told they are, since there are no actual photographs of the Earth and motion has never been experienced or proven.
Why, yes it has. It was the famous flat Earth experiment of 2018, remember?
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift.
It would seem more logical for one to assume that we are on a flat, motionless plane and everything we see in the heavens revolves around us.
I'm sorry, but is that thing a galaxy you're trying to show there? Come on. Anyway, no, it wouldn't seem more logical to assume that. Based on what we've described here, it's quite the opposite.